What people often overlook about Skillibeng is that his rise was not simply the result of talent or luck. It was the result of relentless strategy. Even before he blew up, he approached music with a kind of obsessive precision. He studied fan reactions. He watched trends. He listened closely to the streets. He paid attention to what the youth were saying online, what the selectors were playing, and what the influencers were sharing. While many young artists recorded songs hoping one might work, Skillibeng recorded with intent. Every track was a calculated strike in a world where attention was the new currency. Those early years in the studio reveal a side of him that only producers and engineers talk about. A young man who could spend 12 hours straight recording, rewriting, and re-recording one verse until it felt like fire. He might create 10 songs in a night, sometimes 30 in a week. His work ethic became legendary in EastSyde. He didn't just want to be good. He wanted to be undeniable. As the buzz grew around him, so did the expectations. In Jamaica, dancehall fans expect artists to deliver fast hits, performances, energy, records. And Skillibeng delivered at a pace that seemed almost superhuman. He dropped singles constantly. He pushed out EPs and mixtapes. Whether it was Mr. Universe, The Prodigy, or his earlier body of work, there was always more music coming, always something new. Critics complained that he released too quickly, but the streets knew the truth. He was feeding a movement. By 2020, his sound had evolved again. Songs like Torpedo, Knot, and Shake were everywhere. His voice became unmistakable, a sharp, slightly nasal, rapid-fire delivery that could switch from whisper soft to explosive in seconds. There was something addictive in the way he rode a beat, as if he could bend the rhythm to his will. Even when he took risks, and he took many, his fanbase followed him. Some tracks confused listeners at first, but eventually they found their place in the culture. That's what innovators do. They see the road before anyone else. But innovation comes with criticism. As Skillibeng's style grew more experimental, traditionalists argued that he was drifting too far from real dancehall. They weren't used to hearing trap drums fused with patois or electronic textures blended with yard slang. The sound was foreign, too foreign for some. Many didn't understand that Skillibeng wasn't abandoning dancehall, he was expanding it. And years later, when younger artists began copying that very style, it became clear that he had simply been ahead of his time. One of the defining chapters of his legacy is his relationship with digital culture. Skillibeng understood virality before most artists knew how to weaponize it. He knew how to create lines that would become captions, memes, quotes, and punchlines. The internet made his rise faster, but it didn't make it easier. He had to survive criticism, jokes, misinterpretations, and the brutal honesty of social media. But what made him special was his ability to turn negativity into momentum. When critics doubted him, he dropped more music. When trolls mocked him, he answered with hits. Every controversy became another stepping stone. And then came Crocodile Teeth, the track that pushed him to global consciousness. Listeners around the world felt something raw, dangerous, and hypnotic in that beat, in that hook. Hip-hop artists quoted it. Big stars began calling for remixes. The song entered conversations far beyond Jamaica. It became part of global youth culture. It played in clubs in New York, in London drill circles, in TikTok edits, in African DJ sets. Suddenly, Skillibeng's voice was everywhere, and the industry could no longer ignore him. With international attention came international opportunities. By 2021 and 2022, Skillibeng was traveling frequently: Miami, New York, Atlanta, London. He performed at huge festivals. He appeared on major radio shows. He was interviewed by mainstream platforms that had rarely covered Jamaican dancehall artists before. There was a sense that Jamaica was producing a new kind of global star, one who didn't fit into old stereotypes or limitations. He wasn't trying to sound like the past. He was building the future. Those who met him in person often described him the same way: quiet, observant, humble, and surprisingly gentle for someone whose lyrics could be razor sharp. He listened more than he spoke. He studied people. He absorbed everything. And when he did speak, he chose his words carefully. His confidence wasn't loud, it was steady. He carried the calmness of someone who knew his path, even when the world didn't. As he crossed borders, he also encountered new cultures, new sounds, new inspirations. A significant turning point came with the rise of his African fanbase. Afrobeat and dancehall had been connecting for years, but something about Skillibeng's sound resonated deeply across Africa. Fans in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa embraced him. Collaborations with Afrobeat stars became natural, and his place in a widening global musical family became clearer. It wasn't that he left Jamaica behind. He carried Jamaica with him everywhere he went. By the mid-2020s, dancehall itself was changing. The younger generation began gravitating toward darker, heavier beats. Drill became a global force. Trap rhythms influenced the Caribbean. Social media accelerated trends at lightning speed. And through all of this, Skillibeng remained a central figure. Many newer artists openly admitted he influenced their sound, from slang to flows to the way they structured their songs. Skillibeng had become a reference point, the way Vibes Cartel or Popcorn had been for earlier waves. Meanwhile, his lifestyle evolved into a blend of high-end fashion, cultural pride, and global exploration. He became known for wearing bold designer fits, Balenciaga, Givenchy, Chrome Hearts, Rick Owens, but always mixed with a Jamaican streetwear twist. Even at award shows or music events, he carried a certain effortless yard energy. He showed that you could be international without losing yourself. Travel became a routine part of his life. Studio sessions in London lofts, video shoots in Johannesburg townships, performances at European festivals, collaborations in US penthouse studios. But at the same time, there was always St. Thomas, a grounding force. He returned home often. He invested in his community. He supported young artists who reminded him of himself. For him, EastSyde wasn't just a label, it was a family, a movement, a legacy he wanted to expand. By 2025, Skillibeng had achieved something rare. He became both a global figure and a hometown hero. In Jamaica, his name carried weight. In the Caribbean, his influence shaped youth culture. In Africa, he became an icon of diasporic creativity. In Europe and the US, he became part of conversations around the future of global music. There were billboards, endorsements, festival headlining slots, and collaborations with artists from multiple continents. But perhaps the most remarkable part of his story is that despite everything, the fame, the wealth, the global recognition, Skillibeng remained committed to growth. He didn't plateau. He didn't become complacent. His 2025 EP International made that clear. The production was more polished, the sound more confident, the fusion more seamless. Tracks like Dada demonstrated new melodic sensibilities. Listeners could feel the evolution. Critics sensed that he was entering a new era, one that might define the next phase of Caribbean global influence. What defines legacy is not just the music, but the impact. And Skillibeng's impact is layered. He opened the door for trap dancehall to be taken seriously. He broadened the boundaries of what Jamaican artists could do on the world stage. He made international labels invest more attention into Caribbean artists. He inspired young kids in rural communities who once felt the industry was out of reach. He proved that you could experiment, break rules, and still remain authentically Jamaican. As his story continues unfolding through 2025 and beyond, one truth stands above everything else. Skillibeng is not just part of dancehall history. He is actively reshaping its future. And when people look back decades from now, they will see a young man from St. Thomas who turned his voice into a global force, who transformed challenges into stepping stones, who expanded Jamaican culture across continents, and who lived with a determination that refused to settle for the ordinary. Skillibeng's journey is a reminder that in music, as in life, evolution is everything, courage is essential, and legacy is built not only by what you create, but by how far your creation travels. And Skillibeng's music, influence, and spirit are traveling farther than anyone imagined. If you enjoyed this in-depth look at Skillibeng's lifestyle, like, comment, and subscribe to Billionaire's Luxury Things for more high-end celebrity lifestyle stories.